central to the way the power structure controls us. And before most of us experienced a heavy degree of censorship, they already had locked down certain areas of entertainment, certain areas of especially comedy. Comedy was so crucial for the establishment to go after, to shut down, because of course free speech and freely mocking things is a very powerful weapon. And you can't have that in a top-down, totalitarian control system. And one of the first entities out there to really experience this on a pretty, I would say, heavy-handed level is the famous sketch troupe of $1 Million Extreme, three of whom you probably have heard of: Sam, Nick, and Charles. Now, we've had Sam on here a couple of years ago. It was a really popular interview. One of the first really popular fourth-hour interviews that I did, got a lot of views. So I thought it would be appropriate to bring on another person who's part of that troupe, Nick Rochefort, who's also now blowing up. In fact, he's blowing up like a jihadi in September. I click on one YouTube video of Nick, and basically all I see for the next 6 months is Nick videos. Nick recently did a tour. I got to see them live. They hosted me on their podcast, Perfect Guy Life. But Nick also does a bunch of other topics and shows on his own. He does stand up. He does Scuffed Realtor. So we're gonna talk to Nick if we can. I want to start out with asking him some questions about his experience back when they first blew up as $1 Million Extreme. Tell me how you guys came together. What sparked this? And then we'll kind of get into the phase of the success of the show, and then you guys getting pretty much locked down. How'd you guys meet?
We met through my cousin Brian Rochefort, who was a fellow student with Sam at RISD. And he was like, you got to meet this guy. I was doing poor stand-up comedy. I was doing like 20-year-old stand-up comedy in 2004 before I did anything, and I was running like a landscaping company. And then I needed Sam to do a website for my landscaping company. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing stand-up comedy. This sucks. I'm doing this now. I wish I was writing for SNL, to be honest with you." And
did you hire illegals? Did you hire a lot of illegals for your landscaping?
Yeah, only 7,000. Yeah.
Only 7,000.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, in El Salvador.
Nice. So actually, you actually helped with a lot of the importation of the immigration in the last several years. So we want to thank you for that. All right, so you guys met. You didn't like stand up. What birthed the idea? You guys were doing a YouTube channel first, right?
Yeah, we had a YouTube channel pretty much right away. It was just I was at work and he was at work, and we would call each other, pitch sketches. And then we finally met up, shot like 5 or 6 sketches in his apartment when we were, just weird kids. And then when life went crazy, we were like, let's do this full time. And then I just quit. I quit my life, and so did he. And then we just went full bore on it, and just started being a weirdo, making things in my soon to be foreclosed house with a green screen now installed in a full studio. And
did you guys have a lot? Did your channel grow pretty quick, or did it take a good while before you really caught on, a couple of years, or when did you really start noticing traction on the channel?
It was like watching. It was growing pretty quickly. Like we were getting like a little heat. It wasn't. They didn't stay stagnant for long. Like things would hit like 1,000 views, and then they would hit. Then we would put out more, and some videos did better than others. Some stuff that Sam did. Once we started to get the production value up, we started to get some eyes, and then we had a couple of people reach out, or we were reaching out to people, and then a couple of people kicked back, and they were like, "Yeah, I'll do videos with you." So, like Will Sasso did videos with us right away when we were nobodies, and that was big when we had 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers, and then so on. It started to grow towards hundreds of thousands and whatnot.
Was Charles there from the beginning? Did you guys include Charles later, or was he there from the very beginning?
No, Chuck came in about maybe a year later, at the same time as Sam and I were working. Charles and I went to kindergarten together. And he was doing a troupe called Black Country and Joy. And I was like, I wonder what Charles is up to, because Charles and Sam had very similar they just knew about the same things. They were like, big video game guys, big computer server software things. I was like, you have to meet my friend Charles that I kind of grew up with. You're gonna love this guy. So when I looked into what he was doing, he was actually making videos as well, and they were like as absurd and insane. So it was, kismet. It was perfect when I was like, dude, come with us. And then Charles, his first video that he ever did with us was with Will Sasso. So it was like a big, nice. Get in a car, drive to LA with us, and we'll show you what we're working with here.
So you did that for a while. You had the what was the first thing that really blew up big? Was it the TEDx trolling that you guys did, or was it something else that first blew up big?
Yeah, that was pretty national news, big. Funny as hell. We had some videos, like we had these street interviews that we did in New York that kind of got us some attention from networks. Those were earlier than that.
Hipsters. That guys were interviewing hipsters.
Yeah, hipsters in New York, just pretending we were working for like Nylon and H&M and stuff like that.
Now, so then you guys got the big deal with Adult Swim. You got this 15-minute show, which is a full series, right? That was really popular. You guys were getting a lot of attraction, a lot of attention. And then, so describe the feeling that you had, and then like what happened exactly for the cancellation, because we know that, like I was saying, like the system has to crack down on, especially comedians and artists that are able to speak freely, because if you can lampoon the regime, I think it really shows, the emperor's wearing no clothes. So like, what was that experience like initially when you got this deal? And then what was the process of the cancellation?
So when we got the deal, they gave us a pilot, and they gave us money. And I remember it was a big day. It was huge. I worked on it for a long time. I remember like calling my father and feeling like, yo, this is a real thing here. It was crazy. So we got like an approval to do a pilot. When we met the president of the network, when we met Mike Lazo and Keith Crawford, we were going back and forth with them for quite a bit. So it was a lot of work to, you know what I mean? It was a long, it was long months and months of kind of, doing whatever they wanted for a while, a year or so, making shorts and proof of concept things to show that we can spend money and not rip people off and whatnot. And then they finally give us a pilot and a season. They're calling us like our tours and using all these fancy words, to artists and a voice of a generation, things like that. Blah 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 blah. Went through the season. You could start to see the writing on the wall based on like the way they shoot everything out of Atlanta, and I could see the lack of, they didn't like us basically. I think the Chiefs liked us, but the cooks in the kitchen did not, and for no good reason, just because it was just sacred cow time down in Atlanta, and Atlanta is one of those cities where. You just got a lot of laydowns out there, man. You got like a lot of soft-spoken good boys that are fresh graduates and don't want to step on any toes, that are just really excited to work on a project. And that was kind of like, that made up the bulk of the staff of the people who were working on it. They told us they give us $3 million. I'd like to see the accounting on the $3 million. Yeah, right. Then during the time when we were shooting it, we had like unions smashing windows of our crew guys, and it kind of separated into like these ride or die guys that were with us that were pretty cool. Some of the producers, line producers and whatnot. Cam Bowling, he was cool the whole time, and Alex Orr, he was cool. But a couple of the guys were like, I don't want to be around this, I want to leave. And then the union was offering free was dues for a year for anybody who basically got off the project. So that
was that like a coordinated thing with like journalists, left journalists and people, or how did that happen?
I don't know. It could be like a phone call. There was a girl that worked there that tried to break in. She was on drugs, and she got fired for it. But she was one of the assistants to the Chiefs. I don't want to name drop, but basically just one of the main assistants that just didn't like our slant. Got all blown out on drugs, and tried to break in with her pass in the middle of the night and stuck paper clips in the editing bay door, like a really harebrained scheme. And she was going to dump water all over the servers. Good idea. That would have worked. And I think she was kind of just like a dramatic, Che Guevara dramatic warrior trying to play her own melodrama, where she was going to save the world one key bump at a time. in the back of her friend's probably Mercedes on the way there.
So you think it was like an activist motivated in terms of the subject matter that you guys lampooned, right?
Yeah, I think they didn't like what we were putting down, and we're like, look, we're not. That's not really how it's just satire, no sacred cows. That's just how comedy has to be right now. No one's saying this stuff. You have to do it. Got to be fair. Trust me. Like the world doesn't need another praise Hillary, praise whatever they were talking about at the time. Atlanta 2016, 2017. I might as well have been breakdancing with like a cross colors bucket hat on.
Right.
It was a weird time where they expected everybody to just get knocked out and have their wallet stolen. So specifically in Atlanta. So yeah, and I just don't think they liked it. I think they were just like, and anybody that could or would, they were like, you're just not good guys. And, you'd see people turn on you, and I didn't really care. There wasn't a lot of money, so I didn't really care. I mean, I made $95,000 to be on TV and work my buns off for a year. And, to be fair, I'd have to fly to Atlanta all the time. It's just, I don't want to be like bitter and say that 95,000 is a lot of money, but when you're flying to Atlanta 6 times a year on your dime and staying in hotels, and it's like, ooh, whoopity doo, cool. We got Nicki Minaj coming to your party that you threw. Like, I don't want the party. Just give me the money that you spent to get Nicki Minaj here.
Yeah, around that time, mainstream comedy around that time, like you had the leak of Colbert's emails where he was talking about doing whatever the Democratic Party ordered him to do. It was pretty much across the board, like anything that was on, networks or even cable was 100% just Democratic Party line. And so, I mean, you guys were, I think, pretty fairly not even really political. It's just you guys, like you said, would lampoon anything. But that was just, again, too edgy. And so I think you guys were like an early test case, kind of like Alex Jones was an early test case for like mass censoring across a lot of spectrum. You guys got canceled, and then you had like your subreddit taken down. You guys had your original YouTube channel taken down too, right?
Yeah, we got everything pretty much just completely leg swept. Jeff Zucker from CNN was friends with one of the assistants, and I heard he had something to do with it. I heard it came from the way top internally, because the president of the network was pretty cool with me personally, and he was pretty forthcoming. He's like, look, man, we're like a food truck in a mall, and I'm getting a note from the mall saying shut it down. And I'm like, what am I going to say? You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? So I found it was pretty rough for a little while. Craft beer was my best friend. I didn't find a beer I didn't like for 6 or 7 months, along with some other personal problems. But it got better after time went on. But it was pretty rough. We got everything pretty much stripped out. I was like, well, I'm going to go back to the car business or antiques or whatever. That's how it was going to happen. And pretty much everybody else, Chuck and Sam stayed pretty strong and was fighting it. I was just I was too angry to fight, because I don't think I thought anything that I would have said, it would have got worse and worse and worse, and I would have probably canceled myself even worse. Canceled.
Yeah, right. Now, what I think the best part of this story is that you guys kind of also paved the way in a lot of ways, like Alex did, with doing it your own way, right? So you guys kind of you retreated, you huddled, you planned, and then you have come back, right, with another season of the original show that was canceled, which I know you guys had planned to do this for a long time. So does it feel like kind of a vindication to come back from that?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, it comes from support from fans. You know what I mean? Like, people want to see it. I think it's helped people like deal with, when you're on the road, you meet a lot of people, right? You shake hands. We meet everybody after the shows. You know what I mean? Like, I want to meet the people who watch our stuff. It's simple. And you meet people who will tell you stuff. People will text you stuff. And this isn't some like whack spaz writing me a wall of text. It's like a real dude who was like, I was going through a rough time and I didn't know how to process what in the world I was thinking. And I've heard it a lot of different ways, but the sum of all things is, you get these sort of heartfelt messages from people, girls, guys, and you don't want to be like what it's like when a star or someone you like just lets you down and they'll do just anything. You know what I mean? You don't You're like, oh, don't do that. God, please don't do what I think you're gonna do. Don't go start starring on ABC sitcoms and, and doing whatever LA would want you to do. So as painful as it is to hold cameras and shoot stuff out here and where I am, as opposed to big budget stuff. Yeah, it feels great, but I don't know. It must be done, as Vince McMahon used to say.
And Tim Dillon they were talking about tell me about this realtor podcast that you have before we get into the conspiracy topics. How did you come up with the idea? This is really unique. I've never seen anybody like live stream dissing houses for hours and making thousands of dollars. Kind of genius.
It's the thing you needed to do. No, my brother's a realtor. I bought a few houses. If I drink a little bit, I babble a little bit too much about moving to New England. It's the best place to relocate to in the world. And I don't know if you grew up in my house. Basically, what we do is we just constantly just sling MLS listings back and forth to each other daily. Lots of searches go on in my family, lots of conversations about it. It's pretty much all I talk about. It's my only hobby that I care about. Looking at real estate is free. Destroying it is funny and free. So my brother and I was like kind of tearing apart listing. My brother Jake Rochefort from Rhode Island. He's a tenured real estate agent, and it's kind of all we do, man. It's just like I'm just a hobbyist with this stuff. I like buying homes. It makes me feel it's cool. I failed in it. I don't have rich parents. I've messed up. I've done an okay job. And what I'm not telling you to go buy multifamily, and I'm not telling anybody to do a Grant Cardone thing. What I'm trying to do is basically just watch after the same viewers that watch our stuff and just make sure they're not buying production homes that suck, or homes that'll just never, watch the value prop that they're being sold, and watch what realtors, because realtors can be scum. And you got to watch your back and watch what the boomers are trying to feed you sometimes on when they're getting rid of their house that they've done literally nothing to. So there's a couple of ways to uncover that, which we usually get to the bottom of Unscuffed. And it's just trying to help people watch out and not buy any crap houses that will not go anywhere in value or sink, or just open their eyes to something that they might not have seen because, I don't know, their dad was too drunk to show up to the showing or something like that. So I'll be their remote dad, their proxy.
Internet daddy, that's nice. Speaking of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Lovejoy, but my mom, when I went to be on PGL with you guys, which is Perfect Guy Life podcast that Nick does with Sam and Charles, I was talking to my mom about you, and I was explaining, well, he does like this house stuff, and then he also sells antiques, and like my mom thinks about like in terms of 80s, like like Lovejoy. Are you familiar with Lovejoy?
No, I have no idea what that is.
You gotta look this up. So this is like Murder, She Wrote, but like the antiques dealer who solves the crimes. Anyway, I was explaining. You're like a comedian version of Lovejoy. You could look up that reference. But a lot of the boomer in the audience will know this reference. But to get over then into more conspiratorial topics, when I was up there with you, we had some really good conversations. We were talking about everything from Hollywood to Diddy to even the black nobility, which you seem to know quite a bit about that. But before we get to that, you had a brush with Hollywood. I guess we could say you were like Atlanta Hollywood, so to speak. You were kind of stepping into that world. Did you notice, like, wait a minute, this seems to be like totally controlled? I mean, I know they weren't inviting you necessarily to the Eyes Wide Shut parties. Maybe they were, but did you start to get the impression that this domain is controlled?
Well, apparently you can't speak out of bounds. I wish it was more cut and dry, where they were like, "You're too fat for the party where you have to wear the masks," and I didn't get to, not be at the party, not get the invite. But as far as, I just think it's like things that are out of bounds or projects that are going to get there. I think it'll take an assistant or someone on the inside that'll just be like, "Hey, this is, do you hear what these guys are saying over here?" And it'll take X amount of minutes before X, Y, and Z gets either shut down if they weren't properly vetted. And then I'm sure it's like, how the hell did they even get through? How did they even get this far? Which I don't know. That was then. That was when TV was good. I think I was in the heyday of. I lived in Los Angeles when I was shooting in Atlanta, and if you remember, TV was on fire. It was Breaking Bad, 2010 to 16. I mean, that was, things were rocking and rolling back then as far as quality content. Now it's trash. Right. There's nothing of note of any note. And I think Hollywood, even the way you pitch and the way you sell projects now, good luck getting $1 out of them. that's the new way. I don't know how it goes, but back then, yeah, I mean, to be censored. I mean, to be censored is ultimately to getting thrown off the air with ratings. Yeah, I mean, it was proven. Like I thought ratings were good. I thought you guys wanted eyes. I thought you wanted 1 million views. I thought you said if the ratings, because every basically there's like a chart on your whatever they call that, your ratings viewage, and if it goes down and then back up, that's the perfect thing they want. That show, because every show just goes like premiere is really good, and then after that it goes down, 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 and then at the end that show's like, oh, the season finale is going to be crazy. Let's view it. That's usually like the guaranteed season 2, nail in the coffin, and we had that, and the views were there, and yeah, I guess if you can do the right things, and it's still like, I mean, what is that? What does that mean? If you like views, right, why wouldn't season 2? Yeah, and some people just not wanting to mess.
Well, since you guys were canceled too, a lot of like mega revelations have come out, in the last 8 years, 9 years. Like we have, Epstein material coming out. We have, the mass censorship stuff with the tech platforms colluding with the government. When I was up there with you guys, we talked about, I mean, it even seems like Diddy seems to be like a mini black version of Epstein. It's like the same model of control seems to be everywhere. So, what's your take on this whole idea of New World Order in general? Like, do you think, have you always been conspiracy minded, or did you warm up to it, or what's your take on all that?
The boule, is that what we're talking about? I think they call that. That's what the black nobility is. The boule. Yeah. I mean, I'm so far in now where I don't believe anything. I'm denying. I don't think Epstein is a real person. I don't even think that's a real guy. Like, I don't think there's a guy named Jeffrey Epstein. The 4 houses that he don't match up. Like the one in Arizona is stunning. The one in New York's a dump. The one in Florida is a dump.
So your analysis of Epstein is based on realty, right?
Yeah. Like, no, the same guy wouldn't own these 4 properties, and if they were given to him, why did the 4 guys giving you houses for slaves that not have similar taste? Now I'm confused. But to tell me that a guy committed suicide, I mean, come on. Like Diddy's out there with Nas on the beach. What's Nas doing with Diddy now? Post all this. I don't believe it. I just think we're getting taken for a ride, man. I think that someone's drinking blood somewhere, and I just think that it's all like, I don't know the terminology. I'm just you got to remember, Jay. I'm the mayonnaise brained construction worker end of MD, so my verbiage is limited. My me no talk good.
That's not true. You're a silver tongued Mercedes salesman who spits at a million miles a minute. So that's not true. But
that's explaining Jeffrey Epstein not being a real person. But no, I think Diddy, like, where is he right now? He's in the Hamptons. Like, no one ever goes to jail. Nothing. No, nothing. No, nothing ever, always. Like, we know the stories. Nickelodeon's been running. Nickelodeon's on right now. I can go put on Nickelodeon and watch some cartoons on Nickelodeon. Dan Schneider, all these names that have been dropping around. No one's getting arrested. I don't like getting taken for a ride. I don't like if we catch them, I'm gonna get them. They'll do 100 years. They do no years. Like, yeah. I'm not going to sit here. I mean, it makes it sad. It makes me, pisses me off, quite frankly. Jeffrey Epstein, like all the UK royalties, probably like, right, they fell for it.
Yeah, it's there's 2-tiered system of justice. The people at that tier never get in trouble, even though all this information comes out. It's totally verifiable. Do you think there's something, we didn't really get into a lot of spirituality type stuff when we were up there talking. Do you think there's something maybe even demonic to this? Seems like they have to harm children, like they have to go after the youth. What do you think about that? Like dark spiritual forces behind some of this stuff?
The more and more I sort of like get into it, as I, get into, getting my God on, as far as like, life changing, growing as a person, right? As a guy. And as I have kids and things like that, I'm getting more and more into it. Going to church and going to service and stuff like that. You start to see, like, nihilistic behavior, hedonistic nihilistic behavior is all a part of the same thing, right? Like, oh, I'm never having kids, and kids are stupid, and oh, why? So you can do drugs and like you can have sex, and you know, wow, you know what I mean? How many times can you trip and do Burning Man? You know, and it's sort of just empty behavior that's sort of.
Yeah.
And then the not having any problem whatsoever, like the when the abortion arguments go like full celebratory, and then they, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when the abortion arguments, when they start to sell, like, I loved having my abortion. When you
Yeah.
hear someone say that,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I'm not getting involved in political arguments like that. But when I watch someone start to do stuff like that, I'm like, you're unhinged, man. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a gun guy, but if I like guns, I wouldn't be like, I love my gun. Oh, I love my gun. I sleep with my gun. I would expect you to call me crazy. I would expect you to call me, you know what I mean? Like, it's no problem with me if you said that. But the more and more I see like the sort of the vapid behavior, the celebration of it, or like, Team Satan right now with Lil Nas X, Sam Smith. Yeah. Team Satan's real cool right now. They're getting bad guidance. And
well, but it's all like rainbow stuff. That's the weird part too, is like it's edgy. We thought that the rappers were all like, you know, misogynist, badass dudes. But no, actually, they're all a bunch of compromised gay dudes. Turns out, like they're all just gay dudes. So it seems like a lot of things that we were sold, especially in the '90s, 2000s, it's all fake. It's fake and gay, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So you know, it's not surprising that maybe entertainment, like you said, is also fake and gay too, and that's why every show has to have like trans characters, gay characters. It's like everything is monoculture. Everything is streamlined into that form of culture control, I would say. Now, when we were up there chatting, yeah, exactly. When we were up there chatting, you talked about some of the characters that you think maybe do have a lot of control. One of which you mentioned, like the black nobility, and this is kind of a classic conspiracy topic. What made you bring that up? How'd you get into that topic?
I think it's just through certain. Just reading I don't know, like old celebrity gossip websites would have certain things, and then watching behaviors in like I like the NFL. I was a big NFL. I played college football. I liked it, and then I watched it just get essentially gayer and gayer. And I knew it was going down the tubes when we were looking at like, all right, rookie Deion Jones is walking off the bus. What's he wearing? And I'm like, why am I watching two women and like no talk about how nice of a suit this guy has on? Like we might as well watch him suck a lollipop on his knees. You know what I mean? Like this is it's football. It's football.
Yeah.
And then you watch all like these sus acts in the NBA, and these Dwayne Wade coming out with a nail polish line, and it's just like, dude, what are we doing here? You know, like I don't get it. So that was.
Remember they started that in the '90s too. Remember who's the guy that married Madonna, the basketball player that would always wear dresses?
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. Remember and then he ended up being like a State Department-ish type of person. He would go and meet with Kim Jong-un. Like there's some kind of weird, MK Ultra thing going on with that. I mean, there's no way that that's like accidental.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably the weird high schools they get to go to. Like sweet, soft-spoken Dennis Rodman gets corrupted highly, and ends up being nihilism 101, gambling, sex parties, infected. I genuinely feel bad. I don't think Dennis Rodman I think he's from like small town somewhere, and I've never seen it happen. Commonly before. I don't really sell cars to guys that are like, yeah, I grew up in Tuskegee, Ohio, and now I'm here with red and yellow hair trying to buy a monster truck because I'm dating Carmen Electra and I have 90 piercings all over my, like, it's just none of it adds up. So it's all as strange as like a school shooter origins when that stuff happens.
Do you remember Marina Abramovich? Remember all her weird performance occult art that she was doing? And then now a lot of people don't know this, she's actually on the US State Department's website as one of the ambassadors for the State Department to Ukraine. So it's odd. Again, yeah, exactly. Why would she be in that role if there wasn't something, deeper going on?
Yeah, cut your finger, 14, put your fish in your eye, spirit cooking, let's cook people, Will Ferrell, Lady Gaga, let's eat people, freaks. And art world is more than likely a money laundering scheme. You know what I mean? Painting look at the art world. I would like to see the art world right now because I know like it's just not turning. But I would like to see the funniest example I could think of would be like an artist that, you know, whatever the patsy that had to smuggle this, you know, buy a painting for, you know, $8 million to buy some weapons for a, you know, a foreign nation, and now they're like going off the piece, and they're like, wow, tough market. And they're like, well, I paid $8 million for it. And like no one really, you know. But yeah, Marina Abramovich, and she's a freak. She's probably what do they call that? Free Martin? Is that what you ever heard of that? Free Martin?
No, what's
Please,
that?
Charles Carroll is going to delve into this, but basically in utero with cows, you can switch the genetics of switch genders, and Free Martin conspiracy. I've heard it's the worst of the worst things to talk about, so I'm sorry to drop that here. I've heard that's the one I'm probably going to get shot tomorrow.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, we've already kind of gone MK Ultra. We went full Rodman, so yeah, might as well just roll with it. I mean, now you have kids. Are you concerned in terms of a lot of the propaganda, like how they're focusing on kids and where that's going? Like that seems to wake a lot of people up. They realize, hey, wait a minute, they're actually targeting kids. This is more than just like libertarian, you know, let me have my pleasure centers go wild. This is actually like an agenda because they're going after kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can run all the protection you can. You know what I mean? I have them in private schools. I interviewed well. I adore the management of the school that my kids are in, and they do a good job. You know what I mean? They kind of understand what's going on so well that I gave them my money. And for lack of a better term, I mean, I agree. It's a war. You know what I mean? Like just like rainbow flagging and stuff like that. But I think parents see it. You know, talking parents 1-to-1, watching. It's nice to watch the general pop soften up a little bit, or not harden up, I guess it would be, you know, and start to realize this stuff as a whole, to where maybe there was someone a couple of years ago, you know, at the women's rights rally that's now saying like, hey, I can't have this happen. My kid doesn't want like gender affirming surgery. So please stop pushing that on her now, or never mind the other problems that are coming along with, like, you know, not even be able to learn a damn thing because kids are, you know, whipping, you know, backpacks at each other, you know, or the other problems in schools. But I'm trying to cover it as much as I can through good education, and I'll pay whatever I have to for it. So it is what it is.
What about some of the other sort of famous conspiracies that are well known? Do you think the Federal Reserve is a scam? Fiat money is a scam?
Yeah, I mean, look at where we're playing right now. I think it's just a matter of I think everything's a scare tactic, man. It's every 4 years we're like, everybody's dying. I watch everybody around me get, oh, I'm scared. I'm changing things. I'm getting passports. I'm getting healthy. Have you seen the seed oils? There's a new enemy in town. And I guess for you know, in so many ways, like I've been in such a long relationship with conspiracies, you know, since 9/11, since Zeitgeist, Loose Change, all the good documentaries that got us in 07 and 08. I think I've had such a long that I'm like OG Hell's Angel baked with this stuff. So I'm like, who's the new enemy this year? You know, and now it's seed oils, you know, but like, look at, I mean, Haiti, Laura Silsby selling body, you know, the people getting caught selling parts, you know, selling organs and whatnot. I don't know, man. It's just like, where do you even start to fight? You know, and then you go to, where are we going? You know, what's the contingency plan? Bunkers, other countries, Portugal, Poland, you know, Prince Edward Island, other countries with a P, Paraguay, Papua New Guinea.
I was trying to think of one.
I mean, I
couldn't.
I'm generally nervous, but no, yeah.
Well, so I didn't realize you were that. You're like throwing out the old school reference, like I forgot about Zeitgeist you're talking about, but I mean, know about Loose Change because Burmese is a good buddy of mine. But so you were awake to the Big 9 event that long ago?
Oh yeah, no, that one put me on the couch. I think that's what got me into comedic writing was the probably the Zeitgeist doc. I was like, I think that's like when I just fell into like a depression. My company wasn't doing well. I was foreclosing on a house I bought, and I was just like, oh man, what the hell? I you know, I thought I was doing good, but I probably just had it coming after living a wild 18, 19, 20-year-old life, and then I probably had some.
Did you say Loose Change got you into comedic writing?
Yeah.
It's like the most devastating documentary of the history of America. That's what got me into comedy.
Now that's worth a chuckle. No, yeah, it was just like when you sort of like well, if this is the world, it was sort of like I'll either blow my head off or I'll write comedy. So, and then that's kind of like the deal I made with myself, and I was like, I'll stop wanting to blow my head off. The second I stop doing whatever I want to do, I'll blow my head off, and it's been 15 years. So here I am.
No, there's something to that. I think people that realize how crazy everything really is, like you have to have this kind of like dark humor attitude about it, or you would go crazy, right?
Of course. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Look this stuff, like if you knew that people were carving faces off during rituals, you drive to, you know what I mean? I don't even want to say the words that you do, but you know what you would do. Right? Yeah. So you have to have this sort of like, you have to have that flywheel, this buffer zone for things to like land, and then for you to like analyze them without going off the rails, with drinking or drugs or depression or just being like kook at the bar screaming like, there's poisons in rum, whatever people scream. I could scream Pearl Jam lyrics into my elbow.
The fluoride in the rum. The fluoride in the rum.
Yeah. It's in the Parrot Bay's loaded with carcinogens.
All right. I mean, so now I saw you guys live in Tampa. It was a great show you guys put on. I mean, one thing I've never seen, I've been to a lot of stand-up shows, is like you guys had multiple shows in the same location and everyone was like lined down the road. I've never seen a line of people. I think you guys were recently in North Carolina, right? It was a line like a mile down the road. It was wild. So are you guys touring right now, or is that tour done?
No, we're touring. We're just going out. We're putting out dates every month. We're going to Maine. We just announced Maine. We're doing a couple of small venues that we'll go rock up in Maine, and then Connecticut, and we're going to Ohio. We're going to hit the whole world, and just keep going. We're having fun doing it. It's a good show. We're really happy.
You and Dennis Rodman are going to head over to North Korea.
Yeah, we're going to go to North Korea. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls. I'm supposed to believe that a foreign leader just loves the Chicago Bulls. There's another one.
Yeah, and the guys that wear dresses and it's like his favorite, right? Now, so
poker.
Where can? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Dennis Rodman wants to stop playing poker on the World Poker Tour and go to North Korea and hang out with look at some cardboard tanks.
That's because I did a video about like cardboard tanks and fake nukes in North Korea several years ago when you said that. But yeah. So where can people find the tour dates? What's the best place to look and see where you guys are posting that?
Sam Hyde Live. SamHydeLive.com is where the tour dates are. Our Instagram is pretty popping, where we feed. And yeah, like I said, we try to put on a good show that's very atypical, and stand up isn't for everybody, but we want to make sure that no one feels like they're getting gypped out of a show. So we're trying to be as entertaining as possible.
And you guys have Nick and Sam's Perfect Clips, Perfect Guy Live, and then Scuffed Realtor is at the Perfect Clips site, right?
Yes, Sam and Nick's Perfect Clips on YouTube, and then mine's Chamonix, CHAMONIX, ChamonixHouse.com, where I sell antiques with my wife out of the woods.
I noticed that you got a lot of rugs, and then you got like old Soviet propaganda.
I'm gonna put you on something crazy real quick. Most of these Zoomer gym bros are consuming macro-guzzling synthetic dyes and synthetic sweeteners on the daily. They don't even know it. Goofy AF. There's nothing great about that. Do not listen any further unless you are an alpha or sigma male. This is important and there could be consequences. There's a new certified sigma male pre-workout powder for sigmas only. It is guaranteed to empower you to dominate your co-workers, fire your boss, aggressively gamble, or invade a small village. Chad Mode stands out from the crowd by excluding artificial flavors, preservatives, sweeteners, and dyes. We've even avoided so-called natural flavors, which are actually not natural at all, ensuring a clean and effective formula. Experience the pure goodness of Chad Mode, colored with organic blue spirulina extract, organic lemon, cherry, and organic maple crystals. Forget synthetic caffeine made in a sketchy Chinese lab. Embrace the natural power of organic green coffee bean extract, which will get your mind going and pump you up to the max. Chad Mode is made in America with all clean ingredients, the first clean pre-workout of its kind. Why are these people adding synthetic sweeteners to every single pre-workout when there are many studied downsides to consuming nasty fake sucralose? Each dose of Chad Mode contains the kick of a cup and a half of coffee, delivering a surge of energy alongside essential vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and herbal extracts. Chad Mode will allow you to fire your boss and dominate anyone who opposes you. Chad Mode will make you more dominant in your daily life, so proceed with caution. It's as simple as mixing 1 or 2 scoops of our fine powder into water or juice, providing you with a delicious, energizing beverage featuring a burst of sweet organic fruit flavor. Chad Mode will give you the extra edge you desperately crave. Don't miss out. Secure your supply of Chad Mode on TikTok Shop with a limited time massive discount. Elevate your workouts and supercharge your days. Chad Mode, not for your average gym bro zoomer who consumes synthetic blue dyes on the daily. Buy on the TikTok Shop now with a massive discount provided by TikTok for a very limited time. Buy now while this is still available, or go to chalk.com and use code in caption. Chad Mode has been flying off the shelves because it's the first of its kind, certified for alpha males only. Do not buy if you are a beta. We will refund your money.
Vegetables and like what is that all about?
It's just anti-alcohol posters and anti-smoking and vegetable informationals. Informational posters are really like conversation provoking, which is usually a good thing for interior design. As all the interior design freaks on this channel know, you just need informationals because it's conversation starting. And I think Sorrel text is cool looking.
My wife was interested in it, and my mom thinks you're Lovejoy. So you'll have to look up Lovejoy. He's basically like I don't know the Murder She Wrote, but he does it with antiques. So guys, if you would be sure and follow Nick Rochefort. You can follow him over on Instagram. You can follow him. He's Thug Thief on Twitter. You can find him on the YouTube channel that we listed. I'm Jay Dyer of Jay's Analysis. You can get my books in the shop at jaysanalysis.com.